All right, let's jump right in because we've got a really fascinating and frankly pretty urgent challenge to talk about. It's this idea of a cooling paradox. You know, where the very thing we need to survive a warming planet is actually making the problem worse.
I mean, think about it. As the planet gets hotter than hotter, cooling just isn't a luxury anymore, right? This quote from a UN report really nails it. It's become an absolute lifeline. It's essential for our health, for keeping our food safe, and for our economies to even function.
And here's the catch. Here's the whole paradox. What if that lifeline, the thing we depend on, is actually fueling a dangerous, vicious cycle?
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we first have to understand the sheer scale of the problem. We're living in a world that is, well, overheating. And because of that, our demand for cooling is just absolutely skyrocketing.
So if we do nothing, if we just keep on our current path, what experts call a business-as-usual scenario, our global demand for cooling, it's on track to triple by 2050. Triple.
And this chart really shows you that explosion in demand perfectly. We're looking at a jump from about 22 terawatts of installed cooling capacity back in 2022 to a projected 68 terawatts by 2050. I mean, that is just a massive increase in the number of machines we're going to be running.
And all that machinery, what does it spit out? Well, on our current path, it's projected to generate 7.2 times billion tons of CO2 equivalent emissions every single year by 2050.
So to put that number into perspective for you, 7.2 billion tons. That's like adding the lifetime emissions of about 800 brand new coal-fired power plants. It's a truly staggering figure, and it just goes to show how far we're heading in the wrong direction.
So you might be thinking, okay, I get it. So the answer is just more efficient air conditioners, right? That's the fix, isn't it? Well, while efficiency is definitely part of the puzzle, the real solution calls for a much smarter way to cool, one that goes way beyond just the AC unit.
And the answer is, well, not exactly. Here's the most important takeaway. We cannot just air condition our way out of this crisis. It's simply not sustainable. We need a completely new framework, a new way of thinking.
And here it is. This is the roadmap to a much better solution. It's called the Sustainable Cooling Hierarchy, and it's a pretty straightforward 4-step plan. So step 1, minimize how much cooling you even need in the first place. Step 2, use low-energy cooling options whenever you can. Step 3, then you maximize the efficiency of the equipment you do use. And finally, step 4, get rid of the most harmful refrigerants.
So let's dig into that first step, because honestly, it is the most powerful one. This is all about what's called passive cooling, and it's our first and our best line of defense.
So what is passive cooling? Well, to put it simply, it's just smart design. It's about using strategies that work with the natural environment, not against it, to reduce or even eliminate the need for mechanical cooling. We're talking about really simple but super effective things like strategic shading, planting trees or using awnings, using reflective, cool surfaces on roofs and walls, and just designing buildings for better natural airflow. And look, this isn't just some nice theory. The data shows the incredible real-world impact. Just look at external shading. It can cut down the heat coming in from the sun by up to 80%, and it pays for itself in about 2 years. Or cool roofs. They can lower surface temperatures by up to 7 degrees Celsius. These are not minor tweaks, people. These are absolute game changers. The report has this great phrase for it. It calls them the free degrees, and I just love that. These are powerful cooling benefits you get just from smarter design, which in turn drastically cuts down how much we have to rely on all that energy-guzzling technology.
Okay, so what happens when we actually follow this smarter strategy? What's the payoff? Well, it's enormous. It puts us on a path toward near-zero emissions from cooling.
And following this kind of plan isn't just about protecting the climate. It actually delivers real, tangible benefits for our communities. It makes our power grids more resilient, and believe it or not, it saves us a ton of money. And here you can see how the whole thing adds up. When you combine that passive design with low-energy cooling, you use the most efficient equipment you can get, and you phase out those nasty HFC refrigerants, boom. You can slash those projected 2050 emissions by a massive 64% compared to the path we're on now.
Now, let's talk about the money, because the financial savings are just mind-boggling. We are talking about a cumulative $17 trillion in saved electricity costs by 2050. That's trillion with a T. And get this, that's not all. On top of that $17 trillion, we can avoid spending up to $26 trillion more on new power plants and grid infrastructure.
Why? Because we just won't need to build them. So this strategy saves us a fortune on two massive fronts. Okay, but here's where it gets really, really exciting. What happens when you take this whole smarter cooling pathway and you combine it with a power grid that's also getting cleaner and rapidly decarbonizing? You get this, a 97% reduction in cooling emissions. That's pretty much near zero. It proves that a sustainable, cool future isn't some pipe dream, it's actually within our reach.
And this brings us right back to the beginning, to why this all matters so much. This isn't just about charts and emissions numbers. It's about people. It's about finding a way to equitably provide this essential lifeline to 3 billion more people who are going to need it by the middle of this century.
So that really leaves us with this final thought. In a warming world, cooling is not a luxury anymore. You could even say it's a human right. The only real question left is, how are we going to choose to provide it?